What's today? Today is our 15-year anniversary of our engagement, our engage-anniversary.
It is. It's our engage-anniversary. 15.
Right.
15 years ago.
15 years ago since... Well, I don't know if I want to give away all the details. See, the thing about engagements, right, it's so much pressure on guys. I had one friend, him and his girlfriend at the time were really into games. And so he literally made a puzzle that she walked on the beach and discovered the pieces. And as she got to the final piece, that's where the proposal was.
It was like a puzzle / scavenger hunt.
That's
on the beach.
That's just too much.
Super complicated.
I had another friend, and so this guy and his girlfriend liked to watch YouTube videos. This is back in the day when everybody would sit down on a computer and they'd watch YouTube videos.
16 years ago?
Yeah. And
I think people still watch YouTube videos.
Yeah, not in the same way. And he had another friend edit together a video of all these different love scenes from like 10 different romantic comedies, like iconic love scenes. And at the end, the guy who did the editing, he popped on camera and said, "Hey, Sarah," I can't remember what her name was, "turn to the left," right? And so she turned to the left, and suddenly there was her boyfriend on one knee with the box. I don't know. I mean, to me, I like a little romance, but I'm not a big gesture kind of guy. So I've been thinking. You're
not like Jack from This Is Us.
No, not
like
at all.
that.
Not at all.
Nope.
So we've been going out for about 6 months, and I knew, right? I knew what I wanted. I knew I wanted her, and I was pretty clear on that. And so I was thinking, because I'd recently had these experiences of these other elaborate engagements, and I was like, racking my brain, what to do. And so how much of the story are we telling? Are we telling the game show part?
I think so. I mean, right. In the meantime, things are going well in our relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Today, by the way, we're talking about the commitment stage of relationships. So we'll circle back to that.
Well, we'll get to that.
But I think it's important that you all understand our commitment story, because that really is what that's about. That time when you're ready to make a commitment.
Yes.
And I know for myself, I had been, I had a lot of other relationships that hadn't worked out. And here I was over 40, never married. And this relationship was going well. But from the very beginning, I said to Matthew, I think roughly 2 weeks into dating, I said something like, "Hey, just so you know, because it's so early, it has nothing to do with you, but I just have an agreement with myself. I'm not going to live with a boyfriend." And he was like, duly noted.
Yeah, okay.
Duly noted. Like, okay, sure. Whatever.
And we just met. Okay.
So flash forward, and I had this friend who used to always send me these casting notices for a game show. And I ended up going out on an audition for a primetime game show where you could win $1 million. And I had never been on a primetime game show before. I won a little bit of money on these little game shows. And primetime is like a whole other kind of ball of wax.
Mm-hmm.
So I end up being picked as a contestant on this show called Duel. I think it was on NBC.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I'm sorry if I'm saying the wrong network. But it's a very stressful process. And I was studying the game and studying all this trivia and practicing and blah, blah, blah. And I set this goal of I'm going to win $1 million. And, you basically, sign out your name away that you're not going to tell anybody. And they ask you back then, even your social media, which I really wasn't on anything. I wasn't even on Facebook or anything at the time. And basically I didn't win any. I was a contestant on the show and I didn't win not $1.
And I was actually pretty happy about that. And I know that's kind of a weird thing to say, but here I was stressing out because if Orna did win $1 million.
No, don't give it away.
How long? No,
not yet. Not yet. No. Because you're going to win the storytelling part.
I don't know what to say next then.
Okay,
so you have to tell the story.
Okay, great.
Because that's what I would say next.
So basically, I didn't win any money. It's a Thursday. I know it's a Thursday. And Matthew meets me back at my apartment. And then in the morning, we went to our networking group where we met.
Yeah.
So the last Friday, that's why I knew it was a Thursday, that I didn't win any money on Duel.
Uh-huh.
When we taped the show, and all these years later, excuse me, I'm clearing my throat. I can happily tell you, because it's aired all those years ago, I didn't win any money. And after the networking thing that we go to the networking breakfast, we come back to my place and we have some fun. We're in the bedroom. It's a post-coital moment.
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm choking.
I don't either.
And basically, Matthew mentioned something about moving in together or living together. I don't know exactly, but I wasn't, he had sort of casually brought up living together one other time. And I was like, it was like a little speed bump. Like I was like, I'm going to let it pass. I'm sure he must remember what I told him, 2 weeks into dating. So he does this time. He brings it up again. And I don't know, just my mood or whatever. And I just suddenly looked at him and I said, hang on a second. You do remember what I told you when we started dating. And now do you want to say it?
Well, what my response at the time was, I know that. And I've been wanting to ask you, and I don't know how to ask you.
He says, "Oh my gosh, I know what you said. You don't want to live with a boyfriend, and I've been making myself crazy about how to ask you, and when to ask you, where to ask you. Oh my gosh, so much pressure. I'm just gonna ask you. I'm just gonna ask you now. Will you marry me?"
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that.
So
he blurted it out.
I mean, the thing was, what really was sort of driving me crazy was if she had won $1 million, how long should I wait to ask her? Because that seems kind of creepy. If she wins $1 million, the next day I'm like, hey, will you marry me? Right? I mean, that's a little weird. So I had to wait. But then she didn't win. So then I didn't have to wait.
But you still didn't have a plan.
But then I didn't have a plan, and I hadn't got a ring yet. So we had to go figure that out. And anyway, here we are 15 years later. I think everything's okay.
Everything worked out just
Yes.
great. I mean, we did have a girlfriend say, "Oh, if he didn't have a ring, I wouldn't have taken him seriously." But I knew he was serious by the way he was talking to me. I've been making myself crazy about how to ask you, when to ask you, where to ask you. Then you want to win $1 million, and how long do I have to ask you if you win $1 million? I wanted to support you to win $1 million, but how long do I wait?
Yeah.
How long do I wait? So
it's one of the few times in my life where I've been really happy that my wife did not win $1 million.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we don't gamble or play the lottery,
No, I know.
really. So it's not like $1 million is going to fall from the sky.
I thought that was a funny thing to say. I'm really glad you didn't win $1 million.
All right. So let's talk about the commitment stage.
Well, yeah, because what we're talking about today is the 5 stages of relationship.
Yeah.
And before we get into that, I think we should let everybody know who we are, what's going on.
Oh, hi, everybody. I'm Orna Walters.
And I'm Matthew Walters, and this is Love Intervention. We're here to intervene in your love life, get you off the path of frustration and heartache and onto the path of long-lasting, soul-satisfying love. So
Correct.
We'd love to know that you're here. So please say hello in the chat.
Yeah, let us know where you're joining us from. Like, where are you right now? Not where you're from. Like, maybe you're on a trip or something. Like, where are you physically located in the world? Put it in the chat. Let us know where you're joining us from. And also, why don't you let us know if you have any questions about the commitment stage or anything else about dating, mating, or relating. But we're going to get back to these 5 stages of relationship. Most people know that there are that first stage of relationship. People know that it's like the romance stage, right? That hot, steamy, getting to know you. You just can't get enough of somebody. Humana. Right? We all know that feeling. And I think some people get addicted to that sensation, that feeling of what we call falling in love. Like you slipped on a banana peel. I slipped on a banana peel one day. I landed on this guy. We've been together ever since, something like that, right? So the second stage of relationship, I bet most of you are familiar with that too. That is known as the power struggle stage. And the power struggle stage of relationship is truly an individuation of these two people that have come together in the romance phase. And I'm going to say it like this, y'all. You may not like it, but I'm here to give you the truth and be, just authentic and true. Because the reality is no couple skips that power struggle stage.
Yeah.
I don't care if you've known each other since grade school. I don't care if you've dated for 10 years. I don't care, whatever. You are going to hit a power struggle because it's the natural progression. It's the hangover after the romance phase. In the romance phase, you're deluded into thinking your partner's just like you.
Or they're perfect. Or
and everything's
it's
so
going to
easy.
last forever.
Yeah. And that second stage, oh, you might feel like the rug has been pulled out from under you, and we want to prepare you for that. So no couple skips the power struggle.
What happens is most people just don't have the tools to navigate conflict together. And so they get triggered, and then things blow up, or they stonewall each other, or whatever strategy they use, right? But they never come back and repair. They never come back and reconnect. And so every time there's one of those hiccups, every time there's one of those little bumps, those arguments, it creates a little bit of space between the two of you and a little bit of doubt about whether or not this relationship will work.
Well, I want to clarify something, because the power struggle stage is not a little bump. I mean, the power struggle stage is literally a fight cycle. So there's lots of studies on this. We don't need to go into it too in-depthly, but basically, there are plenty of couples that navigate through a little bump in the romance phase, and that's cool. A fight cycle is really the romance, when the romance stage is over and you're now in a power struggle. The power struggle is a literal tug of war between these two people.
It's an ego struggle, right?
Yeah.
Because it's a part of your brain that says, I'm right, or you need to see my side, or I need you to understand me. And the other person's saying, well, I'm right, and you need to see my side, and you need to understand me. And, hence you're
at a
talking
draw.
on the rope.
You're at a draw.
You're
basically.
at a standstill.
And that power struggle stage can be pretty ugly, and you have to find your way through. So what you really want is a long and elongated romance phase, right? Because that romance phase is designed to put gas in the tank of the relationship, so you make it through that power struggle stage. And then why don't you cover the third stage after the power struggle?
The third stage is the stability stage.
Yes.
And the stability stage requires you to make a choice. And it's a really important choice, because this choice says, I am choosing the relationship over my ego desire. Now, this doesn't mean that you are sacrificing what you want and what you need.
Nope.
This doesn't mean that you're just saying, well, I'm just going to ignore my needs and bend to what my partner wants.
You
That's not
can't
what that
go and
means.
sacrifice.
No, you're going to choose the relationship, meaning you're going to choose love. You're going to choose kindness. You're going to choose empathy and compassion. You're going to choose understanding, as opposed to choosing to dig in your heels and choosing to fight back.
I mean, ultimately, stage 3, that stability stage of relationship, you know that you're better together than you are as two individuals. You're better together than apart.
Yeah.
And so when both people feel that way, you can move forward then to the 4th stage. That's what we're talking about today. There's a reason why I'm holding up my left hand. By the way, remember he didn't have a ring? This was my 10-year upgrade, kids. So I got a 10-year upgrade. Let's see. So the commitment stage. Number 4, so romance, power struggle, stability, and you don't get to the 4th stage until you get there, which is the commitment stage of relationship. So Matthew proposed about 6 months in. We didn't get married for another 1.5 years. So we'd been dating 2 years. People always want the time frame, so I'm answering a question before it ever came up. None of you asked a question yet, by the way. Psst.
If somebody could please just type in the chat, let us know you're here. We see that there are people on the stream, but we'd love for you to say hi and let us know where you are.
Yeah, just let us know that you're here, that you're hearing us.
And maybe if our team could even type in the chat and let us know that the
you
chat
hear
is
us
working.
Yeah. If somebody could type in the chat, we want to make sure the chat box is working. We've had some issues with that. And so the commitment stage of relationship works like this. I see who you are, warts and all, and I choose you anyway. I choose you anyway. So I like to say it like this. It's like you found that person in the as is section at IKEA. And even though it's not perfect, somebody had it before, maybe there's a little ding, a little scratch, something on it. You're like, oh, I'm getting a good deal on this. I'm going to keep it as is. So the thing about the commitment stage is you are ready to choose your partner, and you feel like if you never, ever, ever, if that person never changes a thing, you would be happy with them the way they are right now.
Yep.
You have zero expectation of change. Now, that doesn't mean you won't change or you won't grow or whatever. But if you get into a relationship with somebody and you think, well, once we're married, I'll get him to, or I'll get her to, or whatever, that's really where you're in trouble. So the 4th stage of relationship, that commitment stage, says, I'm ready to share my life with you because I see who you are as your authentic self, and I choose you anyway, despite those little things that might bug me, or those little things that might annoy me, or those little things that just kind of, irk me a little or whatever, those little things that you do. And it's like, oh, I can totally look over those things. You're going to have some things about your partner.
Right.
I think sometimes people think, oh, when I find this mythical, magical unicorn of a person, that you'll never have a problem again. And that is an unrealistic expectation.
We did get a hello from Nancy in Philadelphia. Hi, Nancy.
Hi,
So great
Nancy.
to have you with us. So I want to say this about being in a relationship with another person and the fantasy of what you think soulmate love is, or twin flame love, or whatever you want to call it. That this idea, like Orna said, that you'll never have problems again, that this person will intuitively get you, that they'll already do the things that you expect of somebody, so you don't have to make all these requests. Right. And it's unrealistic. It's an unrealistic expectation, and it puts way too much pressure on the other person. What you have to realize is no matter how in sync you are, that is a person still who has completely different life experiences, completely different thoughts and strategies and ways of dealing with stress than you do.
Different belief systems
about all of this stuff.
Different triggers.
And so when you realize that there's all these differences, that's really the key, is being able to navigate and respect your differences.
And I just want to say, Rena says hi. We're going to say hi back to Rena. Thank you so much. It's interesting. We have a spiritual center. It's the Self-Realization Fellowship. And there was a day when one of the monks was sharing this talk about, it's like, you can Google it. It's called The Tale of Two Queens. And it tells the story of Krishna's wife and another
I think she was a queen, maybe.
Yeah, it's the Tale of Two Queens. She was a queen of another land or whatever they were coming through. And so there's these a tale of two queens. And Krishna's wife ends up asking this other queen about her home. And because she sees how there's so much harmony in her home. And the other queen is like, oh, you are Krishna's wife. I have no right to, advise you in any way. And she says, no, I'm asking because I really want some more harmony and peace in my own home. And when you think about being in harmony and peace, it's not like you're never going to have a conflict, but you know what to do when one comes up. And I think that getting to the commitment stage and knowing that you're with this right person is paying attention how you treat each other and how that other person behaves when there is a disagreement, when there is a miscommunication, when there is, oh my goodness, a fight, right? Because we get asked all the time, like, do you guys fight? And we're like, well, yeah, of course. And then the client usually says, well, what does it sound like?
It sounds like a fight.
Yeah, it sounds like a fight.
We get upset. Sometimes we raise our voices.
Yeah.
Kathleen says hi from Vancouver. Hi, Kathleen. Sometimes we raise our voices. Sometimes we say things that we don't really mean because we're hurt or we're upset or we're angry, right?
And so getting through those hiccups are just the natural part of being in a relationship with another person. So if you have the unrealistic expectation that you're just going to never have problems, you're being delusional and you're living in a fantasy. And then nobody can live up to that expectation, because deep love or even, mild attraction, neither of those things come with mind reading powers. Right. Nobody's going to suddenly know what it is that you want. I mean, I was in a relationship with a guy in the 90s who really wanted to marry me, and he kept asking me what kind of engagement ring I wanted, and I said something I'm going to repeat right now. Oh, I'm so embarrassed, because that younger version of me said, if you really loved me, you would know what kind of ring I wanted. Oh, I'm so sorry, Rob, if you're listening. I'm still sorry today that I said that to you, because I know Rob really did love me. And that's the one time I broke somebody's heart. Whenever I think about him, I just hope he's blissfully happy. I really do. But it's one of these things where I was young and I didn't know what I know now, which is nobody's going to be able to read your mind. Even this guy, like, I spent a lot of time. We spent a lot of hours together. I mean, I kind of joke that, because we work together, it's not how many years we've been married. It's like making it like dog years. So in dog years, I think we've been together like 102 years or something like that. So,
there are times where we're mentally in sync, and that's really great when that happens.
Yeah.
But there are other times when we're like, and we're talking and the other person doesn't understand, and there's all this confusion and misunderstanding.
Yeah.
Right. It's just part of being human and having that compassion,
Yeah.
having that understanding that this is another human being over here who has strategies and behaviors and thoughts and beliefs that maybe don't always line up with yours. Then you can go, okay, but I choose to be in this relationship with this person, so I choose to deal with it. I always joke with Orna that, if I spent as much time with her, if I spent as much time with the Dalai Lama that I spend with Orna, I would probably get annoyed by the Dalai Lama. Right? I'd be like, are they really, Dalai? I mean, do you have to eat your rice like that? It's really bothering me. So, I mean, that's the thing about other human beings. I mean, it's a bit hyperbole, but the truth is, that's it. It's when we realize that our annoyances are ours. It has nothing to do with this other person sitting here.
Yeah.
So, I wanted to tell a brief client story, but before I do that,
yeah, let's introduce. I was going to say, you're like, I, so say who you are.
I'm Matthew Walters.
Hi, everybody. I'm Orna Walters.
And this is Love Intervention. We're here to answer your questions, to intervene in your love life, to get you on the path to long-lasting, soul-satisfying love. And I say that because if you have questions, now's the time to throw them into the chat. Yeah. Any questions about your love life, about dating, whatever, we're happy to answer them. This is your chance to ask us anything. And
it's free. So you're spending your time with us. You might as well jump in the chat.
We're not here to, we're not trying to.
Oh, and by the way, if you're catching us on Facebook, on our Facebook page, you can put your questions right there on Facebook in the comment section, and our team will port them over here. Same on YouTube. If anybody on YouTube, I don't think they give us anything for being live on YouTube, but I know Facebook lives kind of bring in the peeps. So if you're catching us there, don't feel shy, like you can't put in your questions. You can. They'll be ported over here. So this is our time that we're donating to you. We started doing these initially
about a year ago.
Well, we started before that in our group, and then we made them public and on the page. But we started as a give back to our community in 2020 when the pandemic happened and the quarantine and everybody was in shock and our community was really feeling lonely and isolated. We thought, how can we really be of service to our community? And we started doing these lives where we opened it up for questions, and people really loved it. And so we've since made them public here on our page. Don't be shy. We won't, we promise. We'll be nice.
So we had this client who Valentine's Day was coming up, and she'd been dating this guy, and for her, Valentine's was really important. Yeah. Now, she had not told him that. Nope. She hadn't said anything at all about Valentine's.
About 2 weeks out?
About 2 weeks out, right? Yeah. And she hadn't said anything at all about Valentine's Day to him. And yet she gets on our coaching call and she's kind of stressed out. She's like, he hasn't made any plans for Valentine's. I have no idea. I have no idea. The guy I'm with would know that Valentine's Day is important. Such an interesting thing. She said, the guy I'm with would just know that Valentine's Day is important. And I'm like, wait a minute.
We coaxed her. We
can't expect. So I've heard, and another version of this that I've heard for years is, the right guy for me would just know that I like the door opened, right? He would just open my car door because he's chivalrous or whatever.
My guy would be chivalrous.
My guy would be chivalrous. And so he would show up opening the car door. I would never have to ask him that. And now these are really, I mean, you're really not giving people a chance to step up and show you what they're capable of. Because if you don't make a request, if you don't say, hey, I really like it, or Valentine's Day is really important to me, or whatever it is, then the guy knows. See, we as guys, we like to know. It's helpful if you tell us how to make you happy, because if we like you, we want to make you happy. So we'll probably do those things that you say make you happy. Just a little secret I'm giving to all of you right now about men who want a relationship.
It's true. And, if there's a guy listening in, because I know sometimes you listen in here, the advice we're giving the ladies, you can back up Matthew, because the truth is, a guy wants a relationship with you. He's going to pursue you for a relationship. He's going to want to know what makes you tick. He's going to want to know how to win your heart. Mm-hmm. Or sometimes I say he's going to know how to win with you. And that means winning your heart. Yeah. And so when we talk about these stages, I just want to finish that up, right? We've got the romance phase. We've got the power struggle. We've got stability as number 3. And then number 4, what we're talking about today, the commitment stage,
Yeah.
where you're ready to say, oh, I see who you are, warts and all. I choose you anyway. And then number 5 is called the bliss or co-creation stage. I also like to give credit where credit is due, because there are 5 stages and people use different labels for them. But for the most part, those first 2 are the same. We do use the labels from Dr. Susan Campbell, who we very much like her work and her as a person.
Yeah.
Susan, if you're watching, thanks for the labels. We're using your labels. So the 5th stage of relationship, that bliss or co-creation stage, occurs because there's so much love between these 2 people. There's so much yumminess, right? That they have to create something larger than just the 2 of them. And so they come together and they create something even larger, that they benefit their community or mankind or people or pets or the forest or whatever. So they come together, they create something bigger than just the 2 of them. So traditionally that's procreation, having babies and raising a family together. And that is species, procreation of the species. We've got to do that. It's built into our species survival, and it's instinctual. And we're going to say it like this: sex is instinctual, right? Put a man and a woman in a room together, they're going to figure it out. And they're going to figure out how to do it. So but
long-term commitment,
monogamy, that's what I was looking for. Monogamy
is not instinctual.
No, there's no instinct when it comes to monogamy, because monogamy is a societal construct. So if you're somebody who wants a lasting love relationship, there's a skill set that needs to be learned. There's a skill set. And that's why we're always saying, look, it's not love by accident. It's love on purpose. And so what we want you to understand, that when you're doing love on purpose, part of you is being an observer through the dating process. And you're observing not just yourself or not just the other person, but also yourself, right? Let's say it like that. Because everybody's always looking at that other person, right? Well, they did this and they did that and he and blah, blah, blah. And if I can get her to do this differently, if I can get him. Oh my gosh, we haven't gotten those emails in a long time. So something's changed in the world, because we used to get all the time. How do I get him to fill in the blank?
Right.
And I'm like, I don't know. If you know how to get him to do something, let me know. I know somebody I'd like to get to do. I'm just kidding. I have no problem making requests. I'm just kidding. I can't make a joke.
I know.
Okay. So if you're joining us a little late, I'm just going to say again, I'm Orna Walters.
I'm Matthew Walters.
And this is Love Intervention. And today we are sharing about the commitment stage of relationship, because on this day, March 28th of 2007,
2008.
Oh, 2008. Right. Thank you. I had the date wrong. And then I had my math wrong.
We hadn't even been dating in 2007, March of 2007.
I misspoke, Mr. So on March 28th of 2008, there's another 8 in there. I like the 8s. Okay, so 2008, 15 years ago, this guy popped the question. He blurted it out. If you haven't watched the beginning, you're going to have to go back.
Yeah, go back, watch the beginning.
We heard the whole story about how he blurted out.
of my proposal.
Yeah, the blurting out of, I've been making myself crazy about how to ask you. So find out how Matthew was driven crazy about how to ask me, and ask us some questions now. Put your questions in the chat. They can be about the 5 stages. They can be about repair. They can be about dating. Whatever it is that you want to know from us, we're going to hang on for a few questions. And if you don't have any, we're going to wrap up a little early.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what was I was going to say, I would say something about the commitment stage.
Yeah.
Right. We're talking about making a commitment. People oftentimes say, well, how do I know I'm ready? How do I know that I'm ready for a commitment?
Oh, can I pump in I'm going to interrupt you for just a sec. So hold on to that.
Okay.
How do you know you're ready for the commitment? Okay. A lifelong commitment. I want to make some clarification though before you do that.
Okay.
Because there's a big difference between going exclusive, as in not dating anyone else, versus the commitment stage of I'm ready to make a lifelong commitment and say, yes, I choose you forevermore. Those are not the same thing. So exclusivity can come long before the commitment stage, because exclusivity says, oh, I'm not going to date anybody else, so I can discover more by focusing on this relationship and seeing if we truly are a match.
Right.
So exclusivity occurs long before it can happen, long before the commitment stage of relationship. And I don't see any questions from y'all.
So we're going to talk a little bit more about the commitment stage. If we don't get any questions, we're going to wrap it up. But always, any questions you have, please type into the chat.
Yes.
So the commitment stage, Orna said earlier, it's when you can look at that other person and say, I choose you anyway. I see who you are, warts and all. I don't need you to change, and I choose you.
Yeah.
So, and that's really key. That's what's so key about being able to make a commitment, because if you need the person to change, you probably shouldn't make the commitment, because that's a bait and switch. It's like, oh, I see you. Yes, I'm ready to say yes. And now that we've agreed, and now that we've, done all this stuff, and there's a ring, and there's a wedding in the future, now I need you to suddenly start being a different person. Right? No, that doesn't work. That's a bad idea.
No, it's a bad strategy. That doesn't lead to lasting love.
Nope.
I mean, look, I love this guy here. I love him with like every fiber of my being. But I have felt the full range of human emotion in the presence of this guy. He's triggered a lot of feelings inside of me. The good, the bad, and the ugly ones. And all of those feelings are my responsibility. And I think when when you want to know, is this your guy? Is this your gal? Is this your person? Is this your forever? Is this your soulmate? You can't just take into account how well you guys get along, or how hot the sex is, or how great the chemistry is, or how they kiss you, or any of those things. You want to take those into account.
Part of it. You should definitely include those.
It's part of the recipe.
Yes.
But what's really important is, how do you treat each other when things go south? When there is miscommunication, when there is a misunderstanding, when one of you or both of you, God forbid, are triggered at the same time. And I got to tell you, we've been triggered at the same time. It's part of being human. Who here doesn't like the idea of being triggered? Maybe that's why we don't have any questions, because we've been talking a lot about being triggered. And I think that scares people. I think they go, oh. And what I want to say is, this is how you create soulmate love. Emotional mastery plus self-love equals soulmate love.
I like that equation.
Emotional mastery plus self-love equals soulmate love. And that means that's two whole people, right? Matthew is a whole and complete person. I am a whole and complete person. Then we come together and we create this third entity, the relationship. And so when you think of the relationship like that, instead of looking for somebody to complete you, my goodness, come on. I mean, I know people think it was romantic, but even when I watched Jerry Maguire and I was hopelessly single at that time, I literally was like, ooh, it didn't sit well with me at all. I was like, ooh, that just didn't sound good, because that's a codependent relationship.
Yeah.
If you need somebody to complete you. And nobody wants to be in a codependent relationship.
Look, somebody can compliment you. Somebody can bring something to your life that maybe isn't there.
Yeah.
And that's great. I mean, Orna brought so much into my life that wasn't there before. I never would have thought that I would be a relationship coach before I met Orna. And we started this work together. So it wasn't even a vision of mine, but now it's definitely part of my purpose.
This is our life's work.
This is our life's work.
Yeah.
So people can bring things into your life that maybe weren't there before, but they're not doing it because there's some wound that's like gaping and needs to be filled, and you're looking for the other person to be that bandage for you.
Yeah. I mean, I remember I wrote a poem once about feeling like I was like a black hole inside, that there was like a black hole inside of me that nobody could fill, because I kept waiting for somebody else to fill that space inside. And I was honestly a very different person. She's a younger version of me. And I remember feeling that way. I remember what that felt like. And it was so isolating, and I really struggled to make connection with others when I was under the spell of that belief. But that belief didn't stick around. So if you're waiting to feel better, that's part of the problem.
Yeah.
It's like Waiting for Godot, with two theater majors that we both are, right? I don't know if you know the play Waiting for Godot. He doesn't ever come.
He never comes.
Spoiler alert, Godot never shows up.
Godot never shows.
The person to fill the empty space inside of you is never, they're like Godot. They're never going to show up. So you have to change your belief system. I was talking with a friend the other day, and I said, if someone believes that they have to be, that luck is part of the equation to have a great love, that luck is required for love.
Yeah.
I told her it's easier to change that person's belief that they're unlucky to make them a lucky person. It's easier to do that, which we've done with clients. It's easier to get somebody to believe they're a lucky person so they can have love than it's easier to do that than to change their belief that you don't have to be lucky. So I'm going to ask and see if I get any more nibbles.
All right.
Who here thinks you have to be that luck is part of the equation? Who thinks, just say me, just type me in the chat if you think luck is part of the equation for love. I mean, we don't think so. We don't think that luck is required, but if you believe that.
We have had a lot of people tell us, you guys are so lucky. And, I mean, we both, before we came together, did a lot of personal growth before we met each other.
Yeah.
And, I don't know if I was lucky to go on that journey that I had to go on. Somebody type something. Where is it?
You don't have to stop talking. You just interrupted yourself.
Well, because something happened and I can't see it there in the chat.
I don't know. We'll
weird.
figure that out.
Yeah.
But please.
I certainly don't feel lucky about the journey I went on, especially being 20 years sober and everything that came with that. So
I just hit a button.
You just went away. All right.
I won't touch I'm not going to fly in the plane. I'm sorry.
Somebody says, hi, you two. Obviously.
Why can't we read that?
Something, I don't know. It typed in weird. Somebody says me.
Ease and Sparks, me.
Something in Sparks.
Send a message. Just send a message. I'm just going to say us. Now can we read it?
No.
No, that's weird.
Huh?
I don't know. It's like a smaller font and I don't know. I think it's a great combo. Somebody says something and we can't read it.
Ease and Sparks.
Ease and Sparks. Sure.
Okay.
I mean, I think that when it feels like a mystery, it's a problem, right? Because then you're abdicating your power when it comes in the driver's seat of your love life. Then you have to take the step of owning and taking responsibility for your stuff. That's why I say emotional mastery plus self-love equals soulmate. So if we're going to have some more questions, we're going to keep going today. If not, we're going to be wrapping things up. Now we have a question.
No, that's our team wrote it so that we could read it. It says, hi, you two obviously radiate comfort and sparks with each other. I think that's a great combo. Ease and Sparks. And then it says, smiley face, me.
Thank you, me. Thank you for saying that.
Yeah.
That's a very sweet comment to make. And I just want to say, we can sit here all day and have a love fest with you all, but we're going to go and make some dinner. If you have a question, we're just going to wait another moment. I'm going to say one more time. I'm Orna Walters.
I'm Matthew Walters, and this has been Love Intervention.
We're going to be back in 2 weeks. So we'll be back on April 11th. So that's 4/11, April 11th, and 5 p.m. Pacific time, 8 p.m. Eastern. You can convert those times to anywhere around the globe. We're also always live into our Facebook page and then also on our YouTube channel. And we might do this connection a little bit differently, so it might run a little differently next time. We're going to probably switch our provider. Testing a new system. So it might not look like this. It might be a little different engagement, but you'll get a link and all of that stuff. We are so pleased that you took time out of your Tuesday to join us live. And we just want to say we started these to be of benefit to our community, and we are here to be of benefit to not just our community, but the whole world, to change the way you love so that you can get in the driver's seat of your love life. Thanks for joining us today.